All right, let's do this. So, good morning. I am Ben Jobrack, Product Department Manager here at iPhone. Thanks for joining us. Today, we are going to be programming a IXG intercom system through remote management in AiphoneCloud. So, this is very much going to be A to Z walkthrough. I've got all my equipment in front of me. It is all defaulted, and we'll be connecting things as we go, registering our gateway, and then programming our intercom stations. So there is a Q&A available. There's a button at the bottom of your Zoom window, so feel free to ask questions as I go through things. We'll take a couple breaks as we go through to answer those questions, and then we'll get to most of them at the end. So AiphoneCloud is a new platform from iPhone. It's been around for about 2 or 3 years now, and the primary purpose is to allow users, security integrators, end users to program their intercom systems remotely. So all of the programming is browser-based. It is very user-friendly, very easy to use, and the best part is you can do it from anywhere. So compared to the traditional way of programming the equipment where you may have to go on site with a laptop, this makes it much, much easier and makes that service call aspect of this easier as well, right? You don't have to go back to the site to make a change or update firmware. You can do all of that remotely, really from anywhere. So I'm here in Redmond, Washington at our US headquarters. I've got all the gear in front of me, but I could just as easily be anywhere else in the world or back in my house in Richmond, Virginia. So very, very flexible, very easy to use. And so let's go through some of the hardware I've got here on my desk, and then we'll get started. So first, really the star of the show, this is our IXGW-TGW. This is the AiphoneCloud gateway. We have a few different models of this that we'll touch on later, but this is really what makes it all possible. So this is what creates the secure connection between AiphoneCloud and your other intercom hardware on the network. And this is what really enables remote management. So this is something you're going to want to have on every project. Not only does it create that secure connection for remote management, but it also does drive our mobile app service. So if you're using our IXG mobile app to answer intercom calls on a iOS or Android device, if you need one of these, and then this one has antennas on top. So while we can use the local internet to call mobile apps and connect to AiphoneCloud, if there is no local internet, or if you want to have a backup connection, you can activate a cellular subscription for these antennas. That will get you mobile data, and that will also get you 10-digit dialing. So another thing we use this for is a lot of our telephone entry systems for the multi-tenant market. Activating the cellular connection just lets you dial 10-digit phone numbers very easily. So we're going to get this thing plugged in first so it can start to boot up. This device is DHCP. So as it connects to the network and boots up, it will get an IP address. That is the only station we have that is DHCP by default at this time. But what we'll do is we'll use that gateway to discover the other stations that I connect, and we will use the gateway to program them. So let's see, what else do we have here? We have our IXDVM. This is one of our video door stations. It's got a camera, call button, and a contactless call sensor. Slim, designed to be mounted on the mullion of a door, but it can really be installed anywhere you need it to be. So let's get this plugged in. There we go. So another station we'll be using today is our IXSS2G. This is our audio-only two-gang station. It is flush mount. There is a surface mount box available. Really straightforward, very simple to easy to use and install. So today we'll be doing a commercial project. We'll call this our front door. It'll be at the front door of our iPhone office building that we're programming, and this will be at the loading dock, kind of that back door, back area of the building that we'll use to greet visitors who may be dropping off packages and things like that. We also have our IXMV7HB. This is our answering station. It's got a handset. We'll put this at our reception desk. This is where users can not only answer calls from other stations in the system, they can monitor doors, monitor IP cameras that may be on the network, unlock the doors, and do some other things like paging, and then use speed dial buttons to control other stations around the building. Another station we'll be programming is our just IXMV7B. This is the same as the other station I just held up, 7-inch touchscreen. No handset on this one though, kind of a difference there. We'll put this one in the warehouse. And the last station that we'll be connecting is our IXWMAA. This is our relay output board. So typically we'll use this on a project to provide a centralized wiring place for door release. Well, all of our stations have inputs and outputs, and sometimes we'll use the relay outputs on the back of our door stations to trigger door release, either controlling that lock directly or as an input to the access control system. This is what we call the security relay, right? So this could just be located in the closet next to the access control panel. And essentially what you do is you associate each output on this with a different door. So when I unlock that door from my answering station, I fire a relay here. And it's very easy to just jump over from this board to my access control panel and really centralize that door release wiring for an easier installation process. So I can see everything is starting to come online here. I've got blue status lights on a lot of my intercom stations. The screen on my answering stations are lit up. So we are ready to start programming. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so you can see what I'm doing in AiphoneCloud. All right, so I am logged in as a security integrator, administrative user. So I have access to kind of everything AiphoneCloud has to offer. That includes QuickSpec, which you can use to design and program your intercom system. Remote management, which is what we'll be using today to program my intercom system. SIM billing is where you can activate the cellular connection on your gateway, and AC Neo licensing is where you can license our access control product, AC Neo. So we really want AiphoneCloud to kind of be the one spot where you can go to get everything you need from iPhone when you're not talking to one of our sales reps, right, or our tech support team out here in Redmond, Washington. So kind of that one place where you can go not only to program your intercoms, but get your questions answered and subscribe to some of these value-added services that unlock more features for the products. We're going to go over here to remote management. And since I'm the admin of my branch, I can see all of the sites. So every site that has been created under iPhone HQ, a lot of these are our demo kits, things like that. But we're going to go ahead and just create a new site here. So we'll name it iPhone Office, put in our address. There are 4 countries we currently support in AiphoneCloud: the US and outlying territories, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. And the number I'm putting in here is our tech support number and just our general headquarters number. So if you ever need help, that is the number to call, 800-692-0200. And so now as I'm going through and creating my site, I'm kind of greeted by my first choice. I have a decision to make. And really what we're going to do here is a commercial system. So we consider commercial anything that is usually door entry, where you have some of the door stations I held up, some answering stations, maybe some mobile apps. Our other option is multi-tenant. Think apartment building or commercial multi-tenant. Generally, you're going to pick multi-tenant if you have our IXG DM7 entry panel, 7-inch touchscreen, made to be outside. I don't have one of those. This is the commercial demo, so we're going to go with commercial. We will be doing a multi-tenant demo in the future, though, so stay tuned for that. My last question here, is my gateway connected to an existing site? No, it is not. This is a brand new system I'm installing today. We do support moving your existing sites from Support Tool into AiphoneCloud. There is a process in there. We have some documentation on it, but that is something you can do as well. So if you have a project that has an existing gateway, yes, you can probably move that to AiphoneCloud. And so we are creating our site here. Our site is going to belong to our iPhone HQ branch in remote management. And now I'm in. So this is what you see when you first have created a site. You'll be assigned a site ID, and you can see the name up here in the top corner, iPhone Office. So the first thing we'll do is register our gateway. And this is the helper wizard here at the top. What this will do is walk us through really the four steps that we need to follow to get our intercom system programmed at a base level. So by the time we finish these four steps, my doors will be calling my answering stations and my mobile apps. And my answering stations and app will be able to all call each other and unlock any door in the system. So we'll customize it a little bit from there, but that usually gets you in a pretty good spot, a really good starting point once the wizard is done for configuring your system. So let's register our gateway. We just want to be prepared when we do this, right? Let's get through this all at once. So I've got all my intercoms here. They're connected to the same switch as my gateway. I've got my MAC addresses known here in front of me if I need to reference them, and I know what IP addresses I want to use for each station. So pulling up my gateway here, let's look at the yellow sticker on the bottom, and we will enter our MAC address to register it. We do support using the TGW for AiphoneCloud. If you have the older gateway, the GW, you can use that as well. You'll just have to update the firmware for it to register to AiphoneCloud. And not pictured here is the TGW-B that is physically identical to this product. It just has a Bell SIM card, and that is available in the Canadian market as well. So we are using a wired internet connection here. Everything is plugged into my switch. My switch has internet access. If you are on a site that does not have internet access and you want to program your system, we support activating that cellular connection as part of this registration flow. But we are all set here today. So I've got my MAC address here. And when my gateway turns on, it will join our registration queue in AiphoneCloud. The older firmware would join for 15 minutes. We've kind of bumped that time up to about 4 hours now with the new firmware. So that gives you 4 hours to get your gateway registered to your site. If it's been more than 4 hours and you see something like your gateway is offline or not in the registration queue, all you have to do is power cycle it. Not a big deal, and it will join that registration queue again. So demo is going well so far. We've got the gateway registered. We've got our activity panel here in the bottom right. This is really a running list of the things my gateway has done and tasks that I may have asked it to do. So we'll see this update as we go ahead and perform certain actions here in AiphoneCloud. So we've got our gateway registered. Our next step is to add stations. So we're going to do a station search, and this is really where the gateway is doing everything for us. So if you're familiar with our old programming tool, support tool, you had to be with your laptop on the network. Your laptop would be doing all of these things where it's searching, finding stations, programming them. The gateway is really doing all of that work for us here. So my gateway performed a station search. It found all of the stations I've got plugged in front of me. And now we have an opportunity to really dial in the model numbers and the station names and the station numbers if we want to. So I've got this station here. It is identified as an answering station. Its MAC ends in 290C. We'll see which one that is. That is going to be my warehouse station. So that is an IXMB7B, and we'll call that warehouse. That means my other one must be the reception desk, and it must be my HB with the handset. Our IXDVM will be the front door. The IXWMA was the older version of our relay board. We have the IXWMAA here. They are, for all intents and purposes, completely identical in how they get programmed and how they work. And our IXSS2G will be the loading dock. So we're going to check all of these stations. We want to add them all to our system. And we will click Add Stations, and they will appear on our dashboard. Since this is a commercial system, I have the option during the wizard to add up to 8 mobile apps to my site. You don't have to add them here. You could add them later. If you're not using mobile apps, you can type 0 and skip this step. We'll add some mobile apps here. Talking to the end user, they had about 4 people who wanted to get the call on their cell phone in case nobody answered at the front desk. So we can add 4 apps here. If you do, in your commercial system, if you have an answering station, there are 8 apps included. So you do get that one app group available to you to use if you want to. All right, so we've registered our gateway. We've added all of the hardware I've got here in front of me on the desk, and it's time to start associating our stations. So this is where we take the stations that we've added, and we're going to assign an IP address to them. You can see here my gateway is DHCP. It has an IP address. I've got all of the network info here. And I could do static or DHCP for my other stations. We're going to stick with static today to keep it simple. And I should probably look at the network address of my gateway as a starting point for my other stations. So if I wanted to, I could assign unique IP addresses here for all of my stations just by typing them in. I'm just going to pick a range to start with and do a batch assignment here. So I've entered a starting IP address here, and then everything else filled in and counted up from that address. And then we will associate our stations. So what's happening right now is AiphoneCloud has sent a command to my gateway. My gateway is reaching out to all of my other stations, and it is going to tell them to reboot at the proper IP address. It also gives them their name at this point. They still don't have all of their settings. This is just getting them in the right spot so we can communicate them individually. Because when they all booted, they were all at the same address. Our default address is 192.168.1.160. And so we have this timer here. Please wait while your stations are rebooting. I'm going to pause the screen sharing while that dials down, and we'll answer a quick question. So the reason that we say, hang on, please wait, is because the very next step in the wizard is going to be upload our settings to our stations, but we have to give them time to reboot. So before we had that timer, the next step, people would just go straight to upload, and then, well, the station was rebooting, so it would fail, which is something that we can help you avoid here in AiphoneCloud. So we've got the timer to kind of make that a little bit easier. Let me pull up a question here while we wait for these to reboot, and I can see they're all rebooting. Status lights are orange flashing, lots of flashing orange as these things turn back on. So here's a question. If I already have IXG systems installed at my sites, can I add a gateway to an existing system to get AiphoneCloud, or does the site need new hardware? Good question. So if you have an IXG system installed already, programmed with support tool, yes, I would say generally you can add a gateway to that system to get those sites up and running in AiphoneCloud. We've got almost all the features you need in AiphoneCloud for any type of system, commercial or multi-tenant. So you're always welcome to just call our tech support team, explain what you got going on, and they'll probably say, yes, you're good to move that site to AiphoneCloud and take advantage of everything remote management has to offer. So no more visiting that site for firmware updates. No more visiting that site because the customer asks you to change how a call routes through the system or turn on a delay transfer. You can just do all that remotely. So good question. And yes, you can absolutely do that. Any of the new hardware, any of the new IXG hardware that's been available since, I think, 2019 or 2020 will all work in remote management. All right, everything is rebooted here. I have blue status lights on my stations. My reception desk here has the screen on. There you go. Nothing is programmed yet, though. So if I press this button, beep, 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 nothing has happened yet because we need to upload settings to our stations. So let me share my screen and we'll get back into it. All right, so here is our wizard. I can see that in my activity panel, the association was completed. Um, Now I can see, I didn't show it earlier, but after I added all of my stations, they all appeared down here in my station list. We'll go through a tour here as soon as we get through the wizard. So the two last steps here are going to be upload station settings. So this is going to take the configuration file that was generated in AiphoneCloud with all of our default sounds and call destinations and apply that to our stations. So we'll do that here. The first one is a bulk upload to everything except the gateway. We don't want to do the gateway yet because it's responsible for all of this communication. And after you register the gateway, the first time you upload to it, it will reboot. So we're going to get everything done first. Then we'll do the gateway. And while it reboots, we'll give a tour of your site here and explain some of the things that are available in remote management. And then we can start customizing our intercom system for our project. So once this step is done, we can do some test calls. We'll have our doors, we'll press the call button, should ring on the answering stations, should be able to answer the call, press the unlock key. I'll get the little orange door unlock indicator light on my station to fire, and the relay will fire on the station for 5 seconds by default. What we haven't done yet as part of the wizard is have your relay board be programmed. We want you to do that so you can make sure that if you've already installed it and wired it, you can assign the right doors to the right relay outputs. So we'll go through that as one of the first steps uh, as the gateway is rebooting. I will say, for those of you who have used Support Tool, hopefully you're looking at this and saying, wow, this is fantastic. I can't wait to use this for my next project. I mean, this has been available for I think about 2 years remote management now, and it is the best it's been. And so here, our sync is complete. We've uploaded to all of our stations. We've got 5 success messages there. That's what you want to see. So I'll press the call button on one of my stations. Everything is ringing here. It's a little loud, but I can see here that my answering station rang and I can answer that call, unlock the door, green flashing light on my DVM saying the door is unlocked so that the person on the outside of the building knows they can come in. I don't have to necessarily tell them to come in. That when I'm unlocking the door, they get the light, they hear the beep. We could do something with a custom sound file too, where the door unlocks and it says, welcome, please come in. So really just making it easy for people to understand that the door is unlocked and they can come in, help provide them with some additional guidance. And so the last step of our wizard here, we've gone 1, 2, 3. The last step is to sync the gateway. So I'm going to do that step. Now, essentially, the gateway is downloading its own configuration file from AiphoneCloud and applying it to itself. And so the first time you do this, it's going to reboot. And so once that's done, we'll kind of give a brief tour of the left nav menu. By the time we're done with that, I think the gateway will have rebooted and we can start making programming changes to the rest of our stations. So while we wait, let's just do a quick Q&A. Is there a subscription cost to AiphoneCloud? No, there is not. So everything you're going to see me do today, um, oh, so I held my arm over the contactless call sensor on my DVM and it works. So move that a little bit further away. Is there a cost to AiphoneCloud? No, there is not a cost for anything you're going to see me do today. The only requirement is really that you have the gateway. Um, there is no cost to programming and managing your system through AiphoneCloud. So anytime you can come back, you can make configuration changes, you can add a station, really anything you need, updating firmware, there's no cost to doing any of those things. So great success. It works. My gateway is syncing. I can look over. The power light is cycling. It's going to reboot. Let's go through a quick tour. So here is our gateway command area. If my gateway is offline or rebooting, I know it's rebooting right now. I can check its availability to verify its IP address and that it's online. If I needed to restart my gateway, I could do that here. I will say my gateway firmware is already up to date. This is one thing I did before we started today, just to save us some time, is that I had my gateway firmware updated already. If you get yours out of the box and it needs a firmware update, that will prompt you immediately after registration. And that's really just another reboot cycle that I didn't feel like making everyone sit through today. Also up here in the top, we have Save Mobile App Settings. And so AiphoneCloud is the programming interface for this intercom system. We also have what we call the IXG Cloud, which runs the mobile app server. So you can get the calls on your smartphone. Anytime I add apps to my system, remove apps, change the address book of my mobile apps, maybe who they can call, what doors they can unlock. That's sort of the apply settings button for that feature. And then manage my SIM. So this gateway does have an active cellular connection. It's kind of just in backup mode today. But if I needed to subscribe and activate that plan, or just view how much data I'm using, upgrade, downgrade the plan, you can do all that from there or from the SIM section on the homepage of AiphoneCloud. Down here, we've got our stations data grid. So I've got a list of all my stations here. I can see their numbers, what I named them, their MAC addresses. They're all online, and they're all in standby. So generally, availability will either be online or offline, and status will be something like standby or needs upload. So as I go through and make changes to my station settings during this demo, once I've made a change, that doesn't get applied right away. Like many other systems, the changes happen when you click apply, and so we call that upload settings. So I'll make some changes here. Some of these statuses will change, and then that lets me know that I need to apply those settings to my station. We also have our units data grid. So in a commercial system, generally, this is where we kind of abstract things for you. You don't really need to worry about the units in a commercial system. It's much more relevant for a multi-tenant system where a unit is akin to an apartment, and that helps you divide your system up. And then we have our tenants list. No tenants in this system, but for our multi-tenant systems, this is where you can upload a list of residents in the building, and that will help facilitate mobile app enrollment or destinations for telephone entry if we're using phone numbers. So on the left side, we've got our site detail. That's where we are right now. SIP settings. So whether you are using our SIP server that we offer, the IXW PBXA, or if you want to tie your system, your intercom stations to something like Cisco Call Manager or Avaya or Genetec, Sipalia, right? So here I can configure those settings so I can get my stations to register to that server. And then destinations is where I can add call destinations. So I would add security desk extensions or a call hunt group in Cisco Call Manager here. And once I've added them here, I can add them to my call destinations and address books for my other stations. OnVIF and IP camera. So our IX DVM here, this camera has multiple streams available. The primary one is the SIP stream. That's what gets used when it's calling some of our intercom stations or our mobile apps. That second stream, though, can be recorded 24/7. to your NVR or VMS, something like Digital Watchdog or Hanwha Wave or Genetec Omnicast, Milestone, things like that. So I can set up that second stream here and then also add IP cameras to my system. So if I have cameras on my building and they're on the same network as my intercom system, I can view those cameras from my answering station here, my IX MV7. So I could add a speed dial button just to pull up a camera. But once you've added a camera, you can also associate it with a door station. So if I have my IX DVM on the front door and there's another camera up above, I can say that, hey, every time my IX DVM is talking to my answering station, not only give me the video feed from my door station, I can also get that video feed from that overhead camera with picture in picture. Or if I was doing something like that at the loading dock, no camera here, I would be talking to my loading dock station, but looking at that third-party camera feed. So really giving people a better overview of the situation outside their door. Site administrators. So I'm the only admin of this site right now. I created it, just me hanging out in there. But if I needed to assign another technician to the site to give them access to it, or if I needed to invite iPhone tech support, if I was on the phone with them, I could do those things from here to give those other users access to my site. So let's pop back to our dashboard. Our gateway is rebooted. I've got a nice solid green light over here on it. Everything's looking good to go. I'm going to apply my mobile app settings to get those created in the IXG portal. If things go well here, I will try and register my iPhone to the system. So let's start customizing our system. The first thing we're going to do is look at our relay board. And we're going to configure its outputs. So very, very easy here in AiphoneCloud. I want my front door to be assigned to relay output 1 and my loading dock to relay output 2. So now when the relay output on my door station fires, it will also fire on my relay board. It's as easy as that. Let's set some call destinations here. By default, our door stations are calling everything right now. We can go to our front door and check out its call settings. I can see all of my destinations are listed here. We just want the front door to call the reception desk, so we're going to remove the warehouse and our app groups from this setting page. Let's check out our loading dock. We want that one just to call the warehouse. So we're going to go to its call settings. Once again, everything's in here by default from the wizard. So we're going to remove reception and remove our apps. So I can see here in my data grid, some things say upload settings now, right? We made some changes to these stations. So I can apply those here to each station individually by clicking upload settings in the data grid, or I could apply them all at the same time to all of my stations using this upload button at the top. We're just going to queue up the 3 that we've got so far ready that need upload. Let's set a delay transfer on my reception desk, right? So these mobile app groups aren't really getting a call quite yet. So we can go to our reception desk and say, if nobody has answered a call here at this desk, let's have it get forwarded to a mobile app. So this is a very common setup where they want it to ring the station first so it doesn't bother everyone in the building. But if nobody's answered there, we can have this call be transferred to a number of other stations. So we'll have it go to our mobile app group. And we'll set our timer here for 10 seconds for this demo. This is usually closer to 15, 20, 30 seconds in most scenarios. So we've got our door stations. We've changed who they call. We have our relay board all set up. And we have our delay transfer set on our answering station. So let's go ahead and check out our site detail page here. One thing I didn't mention is that the firmware update icon will show me if all of my firmware is up to date. Very easy to apply settings remotely for those stations. So if I've left my site and come back, or if someone has called me to say, hey, I think my station is not online, or my firmware is out of date, or it's not behaving the way I expect it to, can you help me out? Yes, you can do that remotely. So we're going to come back to our site and we'll just do a station check. And so once again, my gateway is looking at the network, finding my intercom stations and making sure they're online, checking their firmware versions, things of that nature. So everything is online here. I've made a bunch of changes. I'm just going to upload all of them at once. So this will run through all of my hardware except the gateway and apply our settings. So let's see if we can register one of our mobile apps now. This is really done from the units page. I can see my commercial unit here is where those apps got created. One thing that's great about AiphoneCloud is it's really, really easy, either as a technician or as a property manager, to get the user set up with the mobile app. So we do that here from our apps tab. I can see none of them are registered right now. We're going to invite app users. So we've got a couple ways to do that from AiphoneCloud. If you're familiar with Support Tool, you can do that registration PDF where we give you the QR codes for all of our stations. But also now with AiphoneCloud, if I needed to just send an email to users, I could look at my customer and say, hey, who do you want to have that mobile app? I'm going to send them a registration email. So they'll basically just get an email that says, hey, download the iPhone IXG app, and then click this link. And it's very, very easy to register users that way. I'm going to do a one-time registration code here, which should make it easy for me to just do a test as the technician, making sure that everything's working. So I can see my devices syncing here. We'll go back to our dashboard and let that continue. But at this point, everything's pretty good. We've got our stations. We changed who they call. We'll do a test here in just a little bit. But everything's really, really good to go here. I will show you how to set up a speed dial button as well. So let's say everything's great. Customer signed off. We tested all of our stations. Everything's working. But then they say, hey, oh, you know what? I really want to make it easier for me to unlock the door. Right now, I have to monitor it, and then I have to unlock it, and then I have to say you can come in. Is there just an easy way to make that process simpler? I see John, he's our UPS driver. He comes up every day. That's him. I can see him outside. He's got his arms full of packages. Let's just get that front door unlocked for him as he's walking up. So we can say, sure. I don't even need to come see you to do that. I can do that from AiphoneCloud. So we'll go to our reception desk and look at our speed dial settings. And here I've got up to 8 speed dials we can configure. We'll add a new one here. We'll name that unlock front door. We've got a number of speed dial functions available. You could make an individual call to another station or to a SIP extension. You can monitor an intercom, monitor an IP camera. We're going to do what we call relay control. I want to control the relay output on one of my stations. And we will choose our front door. So we'll have that door unlocked for 10 seconds when I press that speed dial button. And now I want that button on my home screen. So configure home screen at the bottom here will show me my 2 options. This is what we have by default. We're going to go with option 2. You can see all those speed dial buttons here on the right side. So we'll go back to our dashboard and we're going to upload settings to that reception desk. So I've got my station here. The screen looks the same so far. But once this is done, I'll have that speed dial button right here on my homepage. There we go. So I'm going to stop screen sharing so that you guys can see some of the calls I'm going to place, and then we'll do some Q&A. All right. So I've got my answering station here. I only set up one speed dial button. It was number 1. It's right here at the top. I can press that button and I can see that my DVM is unlocked and my relay is clicking on that station and my relay output board. So let's make sure things are working as expected. We'll hit the call button on our front door. It is only ringing on my reception desk here. It is not ringing on the warehouse. So we did that right. We'll have our loading dock, and that should just ring here at that warehouse office desk. And we are good to go. So I programmed my intercom system through AiphoneCloud. Live demo, nothing went wrong. I couldn't be happier. So we are good to go. That is really how easy it is. I explained a lot as we went. It's been about 40 minutes so far, but most of that time was me just rambling on and waiting for things to reboot. So we are good to go. Let's get into the Q&A. I will say, if you like this webinar today, we have a previous webinar I did where I kind of give it just a overview of AiphoneCloud, and it's not a programming demo. It's more about the business case for AiphoneCloud and how it can make your life easier, make it easier to install and manage projects. If you like this, please follow us on LinkedIn and YouTube. It's really, really easy to stay up to date with what we're doing on those two platforms. So we've got this webinar today. We've done another great webinar by Brian Tate, our Access Control Manager, and we'll be doing a multi-tenant programming webinar very soon as well. So hopping over to the Q&A, let's see what we've got. Question, I manage a lot of sites. Do I need a separate AiphoneCloud login for each one? Or can I see all of them in one place? Great question. So AiphoneCloud, pretty strong permissioning user management system. You just need one login, and that login should be your own. We don't need to be sharing logins in AiphoneCloud. As a user, you have your account. Someone else can have an account. You can be part of the same branch in AiphoneCloud, and you can access all of the same sites. So I showed it earlier. I was an admin of my branch. My remote management list was very full with all of our demo sites there. But yeah, you can manage those all in one place just with the one account you've got. And you can give access to other folks in your branch if you need them to have access to your site as well. Once I hand off, what can property managers actually do? Do I have to do things for them still? It depends. So you can invite a property manager or an end user to have access to your site as well. There are two levels of access for that, really. One we call basic. That lets them kind of, it's the you can't break anything type level of access. So they can just manage like the IXGDM7 directory and primarily the tenant list and mobile app users. But if you were going to install a site and really give full control to an end user, maybe it's the IT staff or security staff at a school, they really want to be able to do anything and everything themselves, you can give them advanced access and they will be able to do anything. But you control that on a site-by-site basis, and generally the integrator or the dealer determines the end user's level of access to the site. Let's see what else we've got here. What's the actual difference between the IXGW TGW and the TGWB? How do I know which one to spec? The main difference is just that the TGW has a AT&T SIM card that's available here in the US market and the Canadian market. And then the IXGW TGWB is a Bell SIM card, Canadian phone number, only available in the Canadian market. So just depends on where your project is located, really. Another question, with the gateway, can a site do telephone dialing and mobile apps at the same time, or do you have to pick one? You do not have to pick one. As long as your gateway's cellular connection is active, you can do telephone dialing. Held my arm over the contactless call button again. So you can do telephone dialing and mobile apps at the same time. If half of the apartments just want to get a phone call to their POTS line or to their cell phone, great, we can do that. If the other half of the building or the property manager or the security guard wants a mobile app for audio and video verification of visitors, you can do that too. No problem. That is all of our Q&A for today. So thank you so much for joining. Once again, please follow us on LinkedIn and YouTube for more content like this. And that's the end of our webinar. Have a great day.